So at this point, we have our two guide rails made of arcs, and we created all the profiles that we need. Now, just try and loft it and see what happens. Now, a lot of times it does not loft the first time, so don't get discouraged if that happens. There's very, very often problems that we need to go fix. All right, the good news is that everything lofted. The profiles are correct. That part actually looks very good. As you can see, though, without my guide rails, there's a lot of area here that the computer doesn't convert into that solid. And that's the specific reason we need the guide rails. There's a lot of lift here that we're going to lose if we don't use the guide rails. And for a boomerang, pretty important. All right. So what I can do is try and put my guide rail in right now, but I can tell you right now that there's a problem. Do you see how the arcs that are highlighted are all separate? When I hover my mouse over, this needs to highlight as one single arc or series of arcs that form the guide rail. I made them tangent to each other, so quite often in most programs that will be enough to make it one guide rail, but in this program, which seems to happen a little bit more often than some others, it's not working. So let's go back and do this a different way. So I'm going to go back to my sketch here, and I'm going to use the spline tool, and I'm going to lay it just for demonstration purposes right over the existing series of arcs. And you're going to see that I can get almost the same guide rail shape as if I was using arcs, which is very nice because we really want that smooth, continuous look and feel to it. So if you look right here, gosh, it is almost exactly the same as the set of arcs that I was using. So what you're going to need to do is delete your arcs and just use the spline. Now you may be able to do it right on top, but I'm just going to go ahead and delete the arc and replace it with a spline tool. All right, my point stay, grab the spline tool, use the first option, connect the dots, and then the only thing you really have to do is just do a little modification on this one here to make the tip significantly more rounded. All right, that actually looks really good. I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. No, it's giving me a warning. Let I create a new sketch. Delete that guy. All right, now let's go to the other side, the right side, and do the same thing. Now, because I didn't move any points, there's no problem here as far as losing if you delete any of these points, you're going to have problems with your other sketches. But as long as my points stay and I only delete the arcs, it shouldn't be an issue. I'm just going to kind of mirror what I see on the right side. And that actually looks really good. So let's go ahead and try and loft now and see what happens. So I'm going to start at the face of the triangle. Oh, get rid of that. Start at the face of the triangle and go to the first profile. Profile 2, and now try and put your rail in. And actually, we're going to put them both in because we have two separate rails, a left and a right. Now go back to the profiles and keep adding profiles in. Now, if at any point you add profiles in and this gray preview area disappears, it tells you that there's a problem between your profile and the guide rail. And usually what that ends up being is that you didn't import that point on the line into your profile, or vice versa, depending on how you approached the problem. All right, there it is, guys. That's our loft. Hit OK. That is perfect. That's what we want to see. A very, very nice airfoil shape. It's going to get a lot of lift here. And all we have to do is put an axis right here in the center point of the triangle and do a pattern tool on the other two legs, and we are good to go.